Hello, everyone, and welcome to our fabulous wellness event with the most beautiful Jennie Henderson, who I am delighted to know. She is an amazing woman doing amazing things, and we are just so excited to come to you today with the Find Your Way event, which really is about finding your way in the world and finding what feels good in your body and how that impacts every area of your life and really finding what works for you, because there is no one size fits all approach to feeling good in your body. There is no one size fits all approach to who you get to be in the everyday world. You are uniquely you, and I know I talk about this a lot, so I'm super pumped to be here with Jennie, who is a spiritual business mentor and really understands the value of the mind, body, soul connection. So, welcome. I'm so excited you're here, Jennie. So, let's just dive in and talk about what it actually means to find your way in this world and feel incredible in your body and about who you are as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the beautiful introduction. I'm so grateful, and your energy is amazing. So I'm so happy to be here. Pam, you and I have been following each other for quite a number of years, so you've seen me go through quite the transition myself. The last few years, particularly, quite rapidly, and what I do is I teach the women that I work with to really find their purpose. And I realize now, looking back at it, of course, hindsight is everything, right? That I've been doing this for a long time. I've been a women's mentor for nearly a decade now. And I started with fat loss. And just like you just said, there's no one size fits all with fat loss. I never had meal plans. Everybody had a different workout program. I really taught intuitive eating or flexible eating, just allowing yourself everything in moderation, which is kind of ironic because today I'm very clean and organic. But at the time, it definitely worked well for me. And even back in those days, I always had a focus on mindset. My program was actually called Muscles, Macros, and Mindset. And I found that after being a fat loss coach for nearly 8 years, that the only clients that would keep the weight off were the ones who were actually doing the spiritual practices that I was not really teaching them, but I was very vulnerable with my clients, and I was always sharing with them what I was doing in my own personal life. I would send them check-in emails and say things like, by the way, Saturday's the full moon in Virgo, and this is a good time to blah 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 blah. Or I don't know if anybody uses sage or Palo Santo, but it's a good idea to cleanse the energy of your home. And in the winter time, we can keep the windows closed and the energy can start to feel a little sticky. That might help you, and all these different things. And that really helped me transition into spiritual alignment coaching about 3 years ago. And my guides started telling me that, and just to be fully transparent, I'm a student of shamanism, so every shaman's a psychic. So when I say guides, I'm just communicating. If you're not familiar with that language, or it's not language that you use, that's okay. I just I get a lot of communication from my guides, and they were constantly telling me to work with entrepreneurs. And of course, just like probably every single person who's watching or listening right now, whether you're live or on the replay later, you're probably at some point have had some sort of imposter syndrome. And that's how I felt. I felt like, oh my gosh, I hire a business coach. I work with a business coach. I'm not a business coach. Like, who would hire me as a business coach? I'm the fat loss girl. I'm the spiritual alignment girl. I'm the hippy dippy coach. And one by one, the universe started sending me clients in my spiritual alignment program who were entrepreneurs. And on our weekly group coaching calls, they would start talking about their businesses. And the people who were not entrepreneurs were like, why are you always talking about your business? Like, what about your relationship, or, your childhood trauma, or all these different things? And I finally started to listen, and I decided that I would pivot yet again into spiritual business mentorship. And again, the women that I work with are feeling very disconnected. They're feeling very disconnected with their intuition. They're feeling very disconnected with their bodies. And they're feeling very disconnected with their role in the world. Many of them are still at a job and I call it JOB for a reason. I'm like, that is not something I want to do ever again. And I will not. And I am teaching my children entrepreneurship is the way to go, teaching my husband entrepreneurship is the way to go. And there's no one size fits all. I've worked with many business coaches before, and I loved working with them. I learned a lot, so much valuable information. But what I teach is not only an aligned strategy, which is important. It is important to have certain ways of doing things because there are proven ways that work, just like in fat loss. Even though I was a very flexible fat loss coach, I also really pushed the importance of nutrients, like not just feeding your body for fuel, but feeding your body because food has a vibration. And a lot of us are lacking in nutrients. We're eating so much out of a box, a jar, and a can rather than the outside aisles of the grocery store or growing our own food. So yes, there is no one size fits all, but an aligned strategy is still a very important piece of any challenge that you're working on. Any coach or mentor will have their own sort of strategy. So I do have that. But what I also teach my soulmate clients is, of course, spiritual alignment as well. Connecting with themselves, connecting with their true self, their intuition, because we have all of the answers within inside of us. And my perception, that my intuitive guidance that I give, and I love to give, is always going to be through the filter of me. It's always going to be through my own bias, from my own experiences, even if I show up with the intention to share what is for the greatest good of all. I'm a spiritual business mentor. When I see people, I'm like, oh my God, you could be a coach. You could be a coach. You could teach this. You could teach this. I see people's soul and I see their true potential when I meet them. So I definitely have a bias. And then on top of those two pillars, I call them pillars, those two pillars in my business, my aligned strategy and spiritual alignment, the number one most important pillar in the Soulpreneur Intensive is to find your purpose. And no one of us has the same purpose. We all, as you put in different words, but the same thing, we all are different threads that are weaving together to create this beautiful new world that is happening right in front of our eyes. And I think it's so beautiful and unique. And a lot of people are finally waking up to the fact that against themselves for a really long time, like I was 10 years ago when I started my transformation.
Absolutely. Like, it's incredible when you really get to know yourself and understand what it is that you need and what fills you up and excites you and makes you so beautifully you. Like, I remember I did this whole workshop called Fall in Love with You, which was like, because it's so important. Like, it's a foundational piece of really living well, being well, and living in your purpose, which is the most amazing feeling in the world, to know you're doing the work that you're meant to be doing, that you're being the woman that you are meant to be, and removing all of that conditioning, right? Like that conditioning that tells you you're not good enough, that you can't do this, that you're meant to be in a 9-to-5, that's the only way to make money, that's the only way to be in the world, that there's a certain rhythm to life, that you go to school, you get a degree, you get a job, you get married, you have kids. Like, no, you get to decide. Like, you get to decide what your life looks like. And that's across the board. Like, it's in your work, in your body, and how you show up in your day-to-day. Like, it's in everything. So like the alignment and the embodiment piece, that's my work. That's what I do. Like, I'm really passionate about helping women feel really good in their bodies, no matter what their body looks like. Because it doesn't matter. Like, I've been 100 pounds heavier than this, and I felt terrible. Like, it was terrible. But until I married all the pieces together, that mind, that body, that spirit, it didn't all come together. I lost 100 pounds and felt like an imposter. I remember my mom wanted me to do this before and after picture. And I was like, no, I don't want to. Like, it was weeks and weeks and weeks after I had hit that 100 pounds before I took the picture. And I only did it because everyone wanted to see it. And I felt so terrible about it, because I'm like, it's not true. It's not real. I don't feel good. This does not feel like my body. I don't feel like it was because I didn't have all the pieces. Like I hadn't
Yep.
put it all together yet. So when you put it all together, when you really marry all those things and get to know yourself and who you are and what you want and what excites you and what lights you up, then it all comes together so beautifully. And you don't even care anymore about the result because you're standing in your power. Like
Well,
this.
I love that you said this because I'm a former bodybuilder. So I've had the full-blown six-pack, the great big muscles. I competed 3 times, and well, I competed twice, but I prepped 3 times. We didn't do the second one because we were evacuated from Fort McMurray at the time, so I dropped out of that one. But I was a bodybuilder, and at that point, with my ripped body that I worked so hard for, I was probably the most uncomfortable in my body at that time. I definitely, you wouldn't have known that by watching me on social media because I would post pictures. And of course, for a lot of people, social media is the highlight reel, not so much for me anymore. I'm very vulnerable on my social media. But at that point, you know, I had lost 35 pounds, and I just didn't feel good in my own skin. I was miserable. My hormones were all over the place because I was so disconnected with my body. I was doing these really extreme things to get this result. For what? For what? Just to say that I could? I mean, I'm not an athlete. I'm not. Some people are athletes and they do bodybuilding because it's their sport and they're very committed to it. And I praise that. I have a lot of admiration for that, but I'm not an athlete. I'm just not. And then in my bodybuilding journey, and I also breastfed 2 children, I ended up getting breast implants. And I have had a horrendous experience with that. I've now had 4 surgeries. And just yesterday, I went to my surgeon and I'm scheduled to have a 5th surgery because I have yet another complication. And I've done so much work over the last 5 years. I told him, I said, I think I just want to get them out. And he was like, oh, no, I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater just yet. I said, I'm pretty sure you said that to me before surgery number 4. So I don't think at this point I'm just giving up on them. I think I've given it a really good try, and they're not for me. And when I look back at it, I can see so clearly I only got them because I wasn't loving on my body. And let me tell you, as a former fat loss coach, I have a full gym in my basement that is collecting dust. I know how to count macros and diet to cut or bulk or maintain or anything in between. I don't do any of those things anymore. Today, I love my body. I nurture my body. I don't love these implants, but I don't hate them either. But I love my body. I nurture my body. I don't have a full-blown 6-pack anymore, but I'm very lean. I rock the solid 4-pack. I'm happy with that. Not that that matters, but it's so interesting what we think we need to do to get the results that we want, whether it's, you know, to improve our mindset or get out of that negativity and the negative self-talk and the self-limiting beliefs, or whether it's to improve the body, which is it really improving or not? I don't know, that depends. Or to connect with the soul. What we think we need to do is not really usually what we actually need to do at all. I think the big thing for most of us is to just take the time to go within, because when I go within, my soul, my higher self, if you want to call it that, my higher self wants me to nourish myself. My higher self wants me to treat myself the way that I treat my children. I make sure that they get enough water. I make sure that they go outside enough, that they read enough. I limit their screen time. I make sure they get enough fruits and vegetables. I make sure to limit their processed foods, if any. Like my kids, they're older. They're 14 and 18 now. And they're like, oh, why do you always buy such healthy food? Like, did you buy some snacks? Like, why is everything organic now? What's this green label? You guys, 2024 is the year we're going 100% organic, so wait for it. It's coming. It's a transition. It takes a little bit of time. And again, not that that matters to everybody, but it matters to me. And, you know, I think if we all just took that time to go within rather than looking for the external validation or we're trying to find the key, the quick fix. No, just listen to yourself. Nobody told me to eat organic. My higher self told me to eat organic. It actually started one of my favorite books. This is a little off topic, but I think it's important, especially with spirituality. It's just to follow your curiosity. I got really curious about animal spirits because I feel like animals are always communicating with me. I'm a student of shamanism. Of course they are. They know what I don't know. They're like, oh, you can communicate with us. You just don't know it yet. So I started seeing osprey everywhere. And I'm from Ontario originally. I've never seen an osprey in my life. And now I live in the Okanagan, and I'm like, osprey, what does osprey mean? So I looked it up, and osprey means your system. Well, one of the things that it can share with us is that your system is very delicate. So to eat a lot of fish and eat organic, and that's what started it for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, my body's already been telling me that. I was already making substitutions in the summertime, because in the Okanagan you just drive and you can find any organic farm anywhere, and you just stop at the farm and load up on your produce. And I realized that my higher self was already telling me this, but my guides were giving me these signs as validation because they knew that I didn't yet trust myself.
Yes, and that's a big part of it, right? You just don't trust yourself to make the right decisions. You don't feel like you know. And the thing of it is that everyone has that inherent ability inside them already. You don't have to look outside yourself. You don't have to use someone else's blueprint. It all, like, I could make myself obsolete by teaching you how to tune into your body, like completely, just because you already know. It's literally needing that stillness is super important. Like, that is literally in my human design. I'm studying human design right now, which is so amazing.
So interesting.
Oh, so good. Like, I cannot wait to fold that into my business. It's going to be like a game changer at the highest level, because like it's your unique blueprint, right? Like, it's who you are laid out for you so that you really can understand yourself more fully. It's amazing, but neither. But yeah. I have that, like, that gate in my incarnation crest where I have to be still. Like, I have to be still. Like, when I'm feeling that busy, because I'm a generator, so I have this natural energy and this natural movement that comes to me.
Surprise, surprise.
Right? I love to move, and I love to be in motion, and I love to be busy. I love to be doing things, but that doesn't always serve me. So I have to make sure that I come to this stillness. Like, stillness is a part of my strategy in being well and staying well, is giving myself the opportunity to tune in to my body. What do you need in this moment? What do you need at this time? And you can do that anytime. And it will answer you. Like, you're just disconnected, right? You're all in your head, as opposed to listening to your body and its wisdom and what it has to communicate to you. And when you learn to tune in, it feels so good. Like,
absolutely.
So good. How do you do that for yourself? Like, what practices do you have for yourself to really?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have?
Oh, right.
I prioritize my self-care today. I definitely didn't always. I was a very young mom. I was pregnant with my son at 18. He's 18 now. He's going to be 19 next month. So there was no such thing as self-care when I was an adult. I went straight from living in my parents' house, moving out right after high school. I did just a really quick 1-year course in college, and then by the end of that course I was pregnant with my son. So as an adult, I literally never experienced self-care. I thought self-care was like going to get your nails done. I was like, oh, this is self-care. No, it is definitely not self-care. So today, and what I've always taught, even back in my fat loss coaching days, I think that's what made Muscles, Macros, and Mindset so unique, was that the very first lesson in that program was how to create a morning ritual. And I started 12 years ago. I saw a psychic medium. I was in a little bit of a rough spot with my husband. We lived in Ontario, and he started commuting to Alberta for work. As young parents, we were really struggling financially, and he had an opportunity to really increase his income. So he took that job. He worked 20 and 10 straight nights. So 20 nights in a row, 10 days off. And it was extremely challenging in our family. I still worked full time, and I had the kids by myself for 20 days. And then dad would come home, and it would be a tornado. All the routine would go out the window. And this is 11 years ago. My kids were still pretty small back then. And again, there was no such thing as self-care. So I saw the psychic medium because I felt like I had hit my rock bottom. I had gained a bunch of weight. I was really depressed. I've always been a social butterfly, and I was really isolating myself from my friends. I felt like my whole adult life, I felt like I have never had any support as a mom, not from family, not from friends. I mean, when you're 18 and pregnant, all your friends disappear. When you're 19 and you have a baby, they're going to the bar for the first time. So there was no support. My family wasn't prepared to be grandparents and aunts and uncles. So my siblings were still children. So there was no support, and I was extremely depleted. And that psychic that I saw 12 years ago, who's still a wonderful friend and mentor today, she taught me to go to bed every night and visualize a treasure chest and make that treasure chest as beautiful or as dull as you want it to look. Of course, mine was quite fancy. And there's no bottom to the treasure chest. So start off by putting everything that you're grateful for into the treasure chest. Okay, we're going back to like spirituality 101 here. Okay, super basic stuff. But put everything you're grateful for into that treasure chest. Again, there's no bottom. So you can put your vehicle, your house, it doesn't matter. Put everything in there. And then when you're done that, your vibration is quite elevated because, of course, the vibration of gratitude is so high, right? That's it. That's why it's the first thing in spirituality that most people learn is gratitude, because it's all about energy and vibration and frequency. And then you put everything that you are grateful or everything that you would like to manifest into that treasure chest as well. So I would like feed the chickens. I'd throw money in there. I'd put hearts in there. I'd see hearts go in there. I would see trips. And, at that point, even though my husband had just started working in Fort McMurray, we were really, really far in debt at that point. We bought our first house when we were 20. We were very, very house poor. It was paycheck to paycheck, even though we both had full-time jobs. And so I started doing this, and I started noticing that I was manifesting things. I was like, oh my gosh, this actually works. And then she said, also, in addition to that bedtime practice, start your morning before the kids wake up. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, just start your morning before the kids wake up and visualize a piece of paper. And on that piece of paper, you're writing down everything from the day before that you are grateful for, from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed. And I would sit there, and I didn't realize at the time that this was my clairvoyance, that my ability to see. But I would sit there drinking my coffee in the dark, and I would see this piece of paper, and I would see a pencil, and I'm writing these things, and I'd see a highlighter, and I'd highlight them. And again, one by one, we started manifesting things. Like my husband's job in Fort McMurray, I manifested that, absolutely. But I started really taking an active role in my husband's career because I felt a little bit stuck in my career. So I was like, well, what can we do to help him make more money? And, money's not everything, but it definitely does make things a little bit easier today, doesn't it? It does. So that's how my spiritual practices began. Today, I take a solid 2 hours in the morning. I came to this call straight out of the bath. My hair's still a little damp. I took an hour-long bath this morning with no phone, no laptop. That's not true. I had my phone, but I had healing frequencies playing on my phone. That was the only thing going on there. And there's a lot of silence and stillness that happens there. And then in addition to that, I really love to walk in the woods. I live right next door to the woods. I've got 2 Great Danes, so we're out in the woods all the time. I actually prefer to walk without my dogs because they're crazy. But a lot of meditation. As a student of shamanism, I'm very connected to a lot of plant medicines as well. So I really like to sit with rapé. If anyone is familiar with that, sometimes it's called hape, and that is it's a sacred tobacco that helps decalcify our third eye. And I just like to sit with it. For myself, there's often not a lot of silence. I actually prefer to listen to healing frequencies in my downtime, but there is a lot of stillness. And one thing that I love to recommend for anybody who is trying to find some more of this so that they can really reconnect with their intuition and listen to what their guides and their higher self have to say is to cleanse your space, whether that means using Palo Santo or sage or just visualizing white light or asking or praying for protection. Cleanse your space first and then listen to shamanic drumming. Shamanic drumming is at the perfect pace and frequency to get us into that altered state right away. It's not silence, but it's definitely stillness. And not only will you receive answers from your higher self, your soul, your true self, but you'll also receive a lot of guidance from your spirit allies. Our spirit allies want to help us. And I just so happened to be visited by a turtle. And what do turtles tell us to do?
Slow down.
Slow down.
Slow down.
Down. And
Yeah.
ironically enough, it's the 222 portal today. So like I have plans. I have like lots of spiritual friends. We wanted to get together. We wanted to do these things. And all of a sudden the plans fell apart last night. And then I saw the turtle and I was like, oh my gosh, this is fated. I'm supposed to cancel those plans so I could just be tonight. Just take advantage of this energy for myself. I don't need to hold space for people every day. I can just hold space for myself.
I love it. I love it so much. Slow down is such an integral message to what I share too. Like it's because that fast pace of life, right? Like the world has sped up so much because everything is easier, everything is faster. It's all about being better. It's all about and that improvement is good. Like that desire for improvement is good, but there's also such joy to be found right here in
Absolutely.
this moment.
Well, I tell my husband, like, slow down to speed up. He has a very good job, a very well-paying job. He's been in his trade for 15 years, and he's got a great job, but he did start a business 2 years ago. And so now he has no days off. He goes to work at his job, and then he comes home and he works in his business. And I could see him getting really burnt out. And, he's open-minded to my spirituality, but he is definitely still at the beginning of his spiritual awakening. And I don't mean that in any offense whatsoever. I just observe it. And I am constantly telling him, like, slow down to speed up. And of course, there's a lot of resistance there. I've been his coach before when I was in Fat Loss. He was my client as well. And it's really challenging to coach your spouse. It's better for them to get mentorship from somebody else for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I can't help sometimes but to try to give him some intuitive insight, whether it's from my knowledge and experience and my guides, or whether it's from his guides. So he's been in his business for 2 years now. So I would say about 6 months ago, he was like, all right, fine, I'm going to do this morning ritual thing. And we have a great big soaker tub, man-sized tub. And he's like, I want to start my day off with a bath. I'm like, that's a great idea. I do that like 2 to 3 days a week. I love it. My daughter gets on the bus. I come home. I sit in the bath for an hour. It's a wonderful way to start the day. So he did. And he's like, goes into the garage to work. And he comes back in like 4 hours later. He's like, I was so productive. I got this, and this done. I know exactly what I'm going to do about this. I was so stuck on it. I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but I figured it out. I'm like, do you see the connection here, sir? Do you see the connection? You took some time to go within first, and then you showed up more productive. And this is what I always teach my clients, whether it was in fat loss, spiritual alignment, or now in business mentorship. I have always taught, if you spend time connecting with your higher self first thing in the morning before you interact with anybody else, the same thing that I was taught over 12 years ago by that psychic medium that I met in London, Ontario, then you are going to be way more likely to show up as her or him. You are going to be way more likely to show up as your higher self when you spend some time connecting with them first thing in the morning.
Absolutely. Like it's a gift not only to yourself but to everyone in your life to really slow down and because I hear this a lot, right? Like it feels like a luxury.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it's luxury, and it's like I have too much to do. I can't allow myself that time, but it allows you to be so much more productive and you feel so good doing the thing that you're doing. And that matters. Like the energy in which you show up in the thing matters. Like it matters. It's your experience of the world. Like, don't you want to experience the world and its beauty and all it has to offer instead of being stressed and anxious and overwhelmed all the time?
Numbing out on the phone. Like, think about it. We waste so much time. We waste so much time. I'll bring it back to my husband to set an example. Like, he would be on his laptop trying to figure something out for his business, and he would be there for like 2 hours, and the whole time he's going, I can't figure this out. Like he would just get so frustrated, and I'm like, take a break. Walk away from whatever you're doing right now. And he's like, I can't take a break. I need to get this done. It should have been done 2 hours ago. I'm like, but don't you understand? If you take a 15-minute break, you're going to come back at it with a completely different energy. And to be clear, like I'm teaching my clients how to create 6-figure businesses. I'm not just teaching them how to start a business. I'm teaching them how to start a thriving business. My promise is that I will teach you how to thrive using your natural gifts so you can make the impact that you're meant to make in this world. I learned how to create a 6-figure business over 5 years ago, and it has never slowed down. It didn't slow down during COVID. It didn't slow down after the interest rates going crazy. In fact, my last dozen clients have paid in full, and I offer weekly and monthly payments. So it's not about what is going on in the external environment. It's not about what's going on with the collective. It's not about what's going on with the economy. It's about what's going on in here with us. And I can see it clearly with my clients in the business program. Those who really prioritize their spiritual practices, they are seeing the absolute best results. Those who are stuck on go, 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 I have too many things to do, the to-do list is too big, they're just not seeing the same results. And one of the things I teach my clients is that you can create a 6-figure business in 90 or 15 minutes per day. So 90 minutes per day, 3 days a week, 15 minutes a day, 4 days a week. That is the time commitment. It is not like, hey, I want you to be doing 9 to 5 in your business or doing 40 hours a week in your business. No. I'm subscribed to the 20-hour a week work week. And I do consider my self-care to be an essential part of my business. So not only do I have the morning ritual, but at this point in my journey, I've been doing this for so long, and it's such a high priority to me that I really like to bookend my day. So once I put my daughter to bed, she's the younger one, so she has a bedtime. The older one doesn't have a bedtime. But once she goes to bed, I've got a couple hours to myself, and I bookend. That's when I pull my cards and journal, and sometimes do a little bit more meditation, whatever feels right. I actually don't want to. I want to stress this a lot. There is no one morning ritual or one spiritual practice I have. It's intuitive every single day. Like, what do I need today? And it's going to be different every single day. So I know sometimes we can get caught up in, oh my gosh, am I doing it right? There is no right or wrong. What does your gut say?
No.
Does your gut say that you need to grab your journal and sit down and write? Then do that. Does your gut say you need to listen to a meditation, a guided one? Do that. Does your gut say that you need to just pick up a really, really empowering book and read? Do that. Whatever feels good. Just slow down.
Right? And that's exactly the point. And that's why I call this Find Your Way, because it is about finding your way. There is no one size fits all. There is no one ritual, one practice, one way to do anything. There are 1,000 strategies, 1,000 different things you can try, 1,000 different things that you can do. It's about finding what feels right to you in your body and makes you feel good when you're doing it. It should feel good.
Yeah.
Like, your life is supposed to feel good. It's supposed
really point.
Right? It's not to say that you won't have challenges and there won't be things to overcome, because I talk about it being fun and easy and joyful all the time. Hello, generator vibes, right? Yep. So like, I talk about that all the time because it can be, but it doesn't mean there aren't challenges to overcome. Mm-hmm. It just means you get to move with it differently than you're moving with it now. It doesn't need to be such a struggle. It doesn't need to be hard. It gets to be exciting.
Well, this is what empowerment is. My spiritual alignment program was called Sacred Self-Empowered, and that was my word of the year back in 2021. And it was, I spent a lot of time really reflecting on what empowerment truly is. And I've really come to realize, through the help of a wonderful medium here in the Okanagan, we did a International Women's Day event together last year. And she said this, and it stuck with me. She said, true empowerment is when we can finally release our victim story. And hello, grew up on welfare, pregnant at 18 years old. My dad left when I was a baby. My little brother was raised with a silver spoon in his mouth while I struggled to eat. And I was super committed to my victim story. My husband works away, I'm all by myself. I was so committed to it. I was completely creating my own misery, because suffering, unfortunately, for a lot of us, whether we want to admit it or not, it's comfortable because it's familiar. Mm-hmm. Even if it's truly uncomfortable, which it always is, suffering is familiar because it's what we have done. We've done it for so long that, taking a step outside of the comfort zone, I know it sounds really cliche, but taking a step outside of the comfort zone is terrifying. Like, yeah, suffering sucks, but so does making change. So the only time anybody is ever going to be fully empowered to make a change is when the idea of staying the same is more uncomfortable than the idea of making the changes. And we can't ever make somebody do that. I mean, I've worked with over 1,000 women now. I know for sure you can't make anybody change. And some people will throw money at their problems. They will. They'll be like, here, I want to do your program. Oh, but I'm not actually going to do it. I'm just going to pay for it and wish that things will change. That's definitely not how it works. You're right. There will be challenges. It will be uncomfortable, but the whole point, what is the purpose of life? Like, what is the purpose of life? Joy.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Happiness, abundance. That is the purpose. That is the purpose. That's why we're here to learn lessons, so we can learn the lessons and get out of our own damn way. That's it.
That's it. Like, it gets to be that easy. It's so, oh my gosh, we could go on and on. I know we could. This is so good, Jennie. I so appreciate it. I'm going to let you talk about your program or whatever it is that else you'd like to talk about, because I know you're doing such an incredible job and I just love everything that you do. So I'm going to let you wax on poetic about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I think it's important to point out that, you know, my soulmate clients are very varied. Yes, I'm a spiritual business mentor, but there's other ways that I work with people. So I'll talk about 3 of them as quickly as I can. I'll talk about the business program first, because that's what I'm mostly doing. That takes up the majority of my energy these days. And that is a 16-week program for spiritual entrepreneurs. So I work primarily with coaches, with mentors, with practitioners, with psychics, with mediums, with healers, and I help them create their own online programs. Most of them are 12-week programs. My programs used to be 12 weeks, but 16 weeks was necessary for the business program because there's a lot of information to just shove into a little bit of time. So I'm helping these women create 12-week programs so that they can get to the point that they are on track to 6-figure years, so they can thrive using their gifts. I really help them connect with their own intuition and their own natural gifts. There's a lot of intuition in this program. And the whole point is that collectively we're making a huge impact in this world. There's so many people who are waking up at a rapid rate right now. They need your medicine. I love that program. It's my favorite day of the week when I get together with my ladies. And then once a month we get together for an additional bonus call, and that's super exciting as well. So that is, again, where I spend most of my energy. And then I also do one-on-ones. I only open myself up to 5 of those per month, and they're very varied. Every single one is different. I never know what we're going to do until we get there. They're, I would say, a blend of going to see a psychic medium, because there's definitely a lot of intuitive messages that come through, but also going to see a shaman. I'm not a shaman yet, but I definitely am training in it, and I've received many activations and initiations and rites, and there's a lot of healing that happens in those. Sometimes it's from this lifetime, sometimes it's from past lives, sometimes it's a energetic healing, sometimes it's an activation of your own gifts, which is always really exciting when that comes through. So I do open myself up to 5 of those per month. And then in addition to that, what also lights me up so much is that I host women's retreats twice a year. So this is a really great time for us to be talking, because my next retreat is actually going to be in April, the end of April, the 25th to the 29th, and it's going to be in Sedona, Arizona. If you've never been to Sedona, it is magical. There are so many different energy vortexes, or vortices, I guess is the proper word, but I like vortexes better. There's so many beautiful energetic vortexes there. And I ended up renting an Airbnb right near one of them. And it's going to be a beautiful experience. I have early bird pricing going on until the end of the month as well. So I'm really flexible with payments. I always have been, because I grew up on welfare and I really struggled financially. So I know that, you know, these are big investments and it's scary to make them sometimes. So there is the ability to put a deposit down while the early bird pricing is on and then pay for the rest later. That's never an issue with me. It's going to be a really, really beautiful experience. And it's very, very small. I've had a number of retreats where I host here in the Okanagan at the La Casa Guest House, which sleeps 28. This place sleeps 9. So we have room for 8 people. That's it. And a couple of those spots are already taken. So if this is speaking to you, if you're feeling drawn into my energy, then definitely let's connect about the retreat, or if any of the other offerings sound exciting to you. Now, I'm at the point now where I do have applications to work with me, just because I really feel like it's important for us to connect in with our energy and make sure that it feels really aligned to work together. So with the exception of my readings, if you book a reading, we'll do a reading. But for the 16-week program and for the retreat, I love to have a little quick video chat like this, tune into each other's energy. Whether or not we end up working together, it's always a good use of both of our time. I get to refine my skills a little more with my practices, and then you usually leave with some messages. Whether or not we work together, there's always a benefit of those connection calls as well. So I'm sure that I'll find a way to get that information over to Pam, and if you're looking for it, we'll make it easy for you.
Yes, absolutely. We can pop it into the comments, or you can send it to me, whatever you want to do. Whatever feels good. But I'm just so I love you. I think you are you are amazing, and we don't even really know each other very well, but I've just been in each other's energy for
We have been years, yeah, a few years for sure. It's so funny how that happens. I don't believe in coincidences, right? Like, we're supposed to be in each other's energy, and a huge part of my business for the past 5 years has been collaboration. I used to be so afraid of it because I was in my wounded energy, and I was like, oh, well, if she's gifted, then that makes me not so special. And I was, because that's what judgment always is. It's a projection of our own insecurity, right? And since I really worked on healing those wounds, I've really opened myself up to more collaboration with other women, and the most incredible connections come from it. I mean, there's no such thing as competition. Your soulmate clients created a soul contract with you before we even got here. They're going to work with you no matter what, even if they work with someone else. Even if, in fact, I have clients who we share clients. So they're in my program, but yet I've worked with their clients and they've worked with my clients. And I'm like, see, there's no such thing as competition. Like, if could you imagine if we were so afraid of that we never collaborated? What a beautiful opportunity here to collaborate. And yeah, I am grateful that you had me here today. I hope that anybody watching is getting a lot out of it.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're getting some love in the comments, which always does my heart so good. So super grateful for everyone who's been tuned in with us today. This has been amazing. And a reminder for those of you who are watching this on YouTube or on my profile, or if Jennie repurposes it later somewhere else, that I have a Facebook group that I would love for you to join called Mind, Body, Soul Connection, which really is about mirroring all the things so you can feel as well as you deserve to feel. And I also have a really special free experience on the offer right now called Unlock Your Energy. Super excited about it. I have 4 spots left. There's only 5 available. It is one-on-one work with me, which I've never offered before, and it's free. So it really is about upping your energy, getting in tune with your body. Like, how perfect is it that this is today? Because this wasn't in the plan. I wasn't planning on offering this offer. It came to me yesterday. It flowed out of me and birthed into the world, and now it's today, and we're talking about all the things, like all the incredible. I'm so excited to offer this to these women, and all I'm asking for in return is a testimonial after the fact. Just give me your feedback on how it works. So super excited about it, super pumped about it. Thank you all so much for being here. We will make sure that you have all the information for Jennie, you'll have all the information for me, and all the love and light from my heart to yours. We'll chat again soon. Bye, everyone.